from which we came, those we must protect to live in their natural state, and with gratitude as well for their companionship, and love for each other, for our human race in all its beautiful diversity, in gratitude for the richness of our cultures and our ability to give each other love and support. This love is what motivates us to do all that we can to reverse the tide of misguided power exercised by the few against the good of the planet and of the many. But when we talk about the dangers to life on this planet, to our environment and health, when we talk about the threat to clean water and clean air, when we talk about GMOs and hydrofracking, bomb trains, and the TPP, when we talk about our society's addictions to fossil fuels and nuclear power, when we talk about the impending catastrophes of climate change, we are talking mainly about one cause and obstacle: unbridled corporate power. It is the power to subvert the public good for profit. It comes from the use of great wealth to influence political and regulatory outcomes at the highest levels of government. But what you may not know is this: what has enabled giant corporations to run roughshod over the planet and the public good is a series of Supreme Court rulings going back to the late 19th century. These rulings radically changed the nature and powers of corporations in ways never intended by the founders of our nation. And the basic proposition behind them, that a corporation is a person with all the natural, inalienable rights of a living human being, was assumed by the court without even hearing an argument. In 1886, after a long-standing bid by corporate lawyers to have corporations recognized as persons, court recorder J. Bancroft Davis slipped it into a case headnote, a brief recorded summary of the case. And based on an informal comment made by the Chief Justice, Davis recorded that the court recognized the corporation as a person. No, the ruling had made no such statement. But afterward, this simple tax case, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad, began to be cited as a precedent that a corporation is a person. And what did that mean? It meant that the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, intended to ensure that African Americans freed from slavery and all other persons are entitled to equal protection and due process under the law, would now guarantee the same rights to corporations. Corporations as persons. The amendment was intended to assist African Americans who had been released from slavery. And now corporations were saying, well, this applies to us. It would now guarantee the same rights to corporations, to artificial legal fictions created by the state, to so-called persons that cannot love. Over time, more and more constitutional rights of persons began to apply to so-called corporate persons. Not only that, but the very nature of the corporation was changed. In 1919, the Michigan State Supreme Court ruled in Dodge versus Ford Motor Company that a corporation's reason to exist was no longer to serve the public good, which it had been up to that point recognized, but solely and exclusively to maximize profits for shareholders. Now let's fast forward a bit. April 22nd, 1970. 45 years ago today, 20 million Americans took to the streets and parks to celebrate the first Earth Day. 20 million Americans. Now look around and ask yourself if the political climate has changed a bit, what the chilling effect of all this has been. Then within a few short years, the environmental